I'm Lisa Stone. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Parenting Aces. Welcome to the Parenting Aces podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Stone. This week, we are going to be talking with former Yale tennis captain Jeff Dawson about a new passion project of his called Rhabit. And it is an online coaching platform that is available to anyone who would like to subscribe to the service. He has some amazing coaches from the college coaching world, from junior coaching, former top tour players, current college players, current top juniors. I mean, the range is just amazing. He has graciously offered a 15% discount to the Parenting Aces community. And all you have to do is use code Parenting Aces 1. That's Parenting Aces and the number 1 when you sign up for Rhabit. And to get more information on Rhabit and the articles and the contact info that we discuss in this week's episode, be sure to check out the show notes. All the details will be there. So in the meantime, sit back, relax, and enjoy my conversation with Jeff Dawson of Rhabit. Jeff Dawson, thanks so much for joining the Parenting Aces podcast this week. So happy to have you.
Lisa, how are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to learn more about your new venture. But before we jump into that, I would love for you to give our listeners a little bit of background on your life in tennis.
Sure, absolutely. So my background, I grew up playing tennis since I can remember, probably about 5 years old, and did the whole junior ranks like many of your viewers or your viewers' children have done through USTA, and did the sectional and national schedule, and played high school tennis, which I loved, the team camaraderie, and then I ended up going and playing 4 years and captaining the Yale tennis team, and then took some time, did some futures a little bit after, so got a little taste of kind of the satellite tour, and then just ultimately went in a couple different directions, and my brothers and I have always just loved what the game has given us. We feel like we owe a lot to it. So then we started this company Rhabit, and trying to really just inform the world, inform juniors, and offer great perspective from top talent.
Awesome. So you mentioned that you grew up going through the junior ranks. What section did you come through?
So we were the Midwest section. We were Northern Illinois, so right outside of Chicago. And so we always played, section. I remember sectional tournaments at Okemos High School in Michigan, and nationals. Obviously, we're at the zoo and I think Fort Lauderdale. I'm dating myself now, but those were definitely great days. And I was lucky enough to have a great technical coach and junior development coach in Jack Sharp. He's pretty well known, and just so happened that he kind of lived in our backyard, and we got started with him early, and really through him got a great foundation in stroke technique and just a love for the game. I can't think of a better promoter in the game of tennis. He's given his life to it and has produced a ton of college players, gold ball winners, what have you. So Jack was definitely a mentor, as well as my father, who got us started early.
Wow. And so when you made the decision to go to Yale to play your college tennis, were there other schools you were looking at?
Absolutely. Yeah. I was looking mainly Big Ten, Midwest. My family comes a lot of U of I, Northwestern. Also looked at Michigan. Great programs, had really great recruiting trips, and enjoyed my time there. But ultimately for me, coming from the Midwest, I was attracted to, a little bit of a new experience going out to the Northeast, and fell in love with the guys on the team. It seemed like a real family, and also the coach, Alex Dorado, was a big reason for me choosing to go to Yale.
And obviously you were a good student, or you wouldn't have had the opportunity to play at Yale.
I was. My parents always, stressed the importance of academics first. And so I always had a good class ranked and studied hard. And that was definitely stress. School came before tennis.
Got it. Got it. And what kind of tennis parents did you have? Were they involved? You said your dad got you started, but did he stay involved in your tennis? And how did your mom interact with all that?
Yeah, great question. So I'd say my mom was she was kind of in charge of the academic school side, extracurriculars, making sure we were, well-rounded. My father did that as well, but did a little bit more on the tennis side. He came from a basketball family and played basketball in college and some pro stuff. So he really knew sports and had played tennis in the past too through high school. So he was very involved at a young age, but really never made us, do only tennis. I remember playing, basketball and soccer and, golf, anything baseball. So I was definitely multi-sport, and he just really wanted us to enjoy the game. And I always remember he said that the key is to be healthy and happy and still enjoy the sport by the time you turn 16. And he felt if you could get to that point, then it was then you had the tools to really take it to where you wanted it to go.
Smart man.
So he, luckily he had a past with athletics in sports and was very hands off, but also knew when and where to kind of get us to the right coaching and the right tournaments without us getting, I guess, just too stressed out with the game or, having had enough. Because I know obviously being an individual sport, having that team camaraderie is key at a young age as well.
Sure. And burnout's a real problem, and it seems to be getting more and more of a problem the more we parents poke our noses into our children's activities. So finding that balance is really crucial. It sounds like your parents did an amazing job.
They did. We were very very lucky and blessed to have that. But they did a lot of learning as they went too, and that's why I think what you offer on your platform is great, because there is no one way of doing it, but there's definitely a happy medium that you want to hit. Of you don't want overkill, but you also, if you're too lax, then maybe that motivation is never there. So it's definitely tricky, and you just bringing front and center a lot of different perspectives in kind of the parenting world, I think is really, really, I think that's what we need.
Well, thank you. I hope so. I hope it's doing some good. You have two brothers that you are in business with now. Where do you fall in the trio?
Yeah, so I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest?
Okay. I'm the oldest, 21 months older than my middle brother. We were only one grade level apart. And then my youngest brother, I'm 5 years older. My middle brother is 3 years older. So we never overlapped at college with my youngest brother, but my middle brother and I played together on the team for 3 of the 4 years in college, which was really cool.
That is very cool. And now you guys have partnered up, which I just love this. And not too long ago, I interviewed Ryan Lippman, who has partnered up with his brothers to start Tennis Takes. You guys have partnered up to start Rhabit, and I would love for you to talk to us about the impetus behind Rhabit, what made you decide to do this, and how you guys got started.
Yeah, absolutely. So all three of us, my brothers and I, were involved and really wanted to give back to tennis. Tennis had opened up many doors and given us a lot in life. So for us, being able to, bring access to top level coaching and strategy and advice skills to maybe students, juniors, adults around the world that didn't have access, or maybe that did have access to great coaching, but could use this as kind of, supplemental. So we just noticed that there was a gap in a lot of high quality perspective. Maybe kids knowing, kids having a goal to reach some level in tennis or in life, and maybe not necessarily having the tools or the know-how or the mentors to get it done. And all of a sudden they're 16, 17 and they start to figure it out, but it's a little too late. So we just really wanted everyone to be put in a position where they could realize their full potential and have access to the correct information, the right tutelage, the right mentors at an early age. So, they really could, like I said, reach their full potential. So that was really the impetus behind why we started it. And then just a fascination in kind of e-learning. Khan Academy and TED Talks, lynda.com, and academics today has done a great job where you can take, a Yale, a Harvard, a Stanford professor, and they can be teaching, a community in anywhere around the world. So I think that's really, it's the day we live in with globalization and the internet. So I think e-learning is here to stay. And so we were obviously interested in kind of the tech side of building out a platform, and something that we were so passionate about with tennis.
And so you guys have a list of coaches that, it's Hall of Fame level, right? The people you have on your site providing content is just mind-boggling. How did you get all of these people to agree to record video for you, share their teachings, and, put all of this online?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't easy. And it was slow moving at the start. We actually, my middle brother and I lived in a trailer for about a year and traveled the country, and started out kind of at the challenger level, and just, we had a few contacts in the industry, having been players ourselves, but it's, getting the buy-in from a group of very qualified individuals, where everybody kind of has their own brand is tough. But at the end of the day, I think we were able to appeal to kind of showcasing individuals that had unbelievable credentials, and just kind of jumping on board for the mission of, we want to democratize great learning, and we want to get great learning out there so that regardless of socioeconomics, demographics, that kids and adults alike will have access to positive, good information. And so that was kind of, everybody that we filmed really bought into that mission. And they're really the backbone in the site that we built. We couldn't have done it without them. And we had such a fun time, traveling. It was a lot of work. We were definitely, running lean. But we traveled the country and showed up at their door and knocked and said, "Hey, this is what we stand for, and this is what we're trying to do in the tennis world." And more times than not, they asked for a little bit more information, and then we were filming soon thereafter.
That's awesome. And if, you go through your list of coaches, it's hard not to notice the fact that you have many, many, many amazing college coaches. You have some former top college players who are now doing some coaching or still maybe pursuing a professional career. And it's an incredible list. And I will say, I would love to see a few more women on there. As a proud supporter of the WTCA, I would love to see y'all get a few more women on board, but I'm sure that's coming.
It's coming. And we definitely, so we traveled to a lot of the WTA tournaments as well. And, it's different in the approach. And we've worked with a lot of great women players, and we're looking to do more. I think the really for us, the comfort level was there, and a lot of at the kind of the challenger level, just with the way the women's tour is set up. Sometimes they're younger, so getting on camera is a little bit different, something that they haven't done. But that's why we started with, I guess, a little bit of the older, more mature crowd on the women's side. But yeah, we're continuing to look to expand that side of it as well.
Love it. So let's talk about Rhabit. And just for my listeners, Rhabit is spelled Rhabit. So can you share with us, Jeff, what that stands for, where the name came from?
Yeah, so Rhabit stands for repeated habit. And our belief is that you want to get to a point of where you're your routines and habits are kind of just there. And the only way you can do that is through repetition. And so we feel that the way our videos are produced in 4K and an average of 3 to 4 minutes in length, they're meant to be watched a number of times. We cut out all the excess and we really jam pack the information in there, but it is meant to be watched a couple of times. So we're all about repetition within viewing the videos, which will ultimately lead to good habit. And then taking it a step further, everyone always talks about, you listen to Michael Jordan and Roger Federer about being in reaching flow, of where they're just kind of operating on the court and everything's just working without a lot of thinking. And that's really the ultimate. And that's when you establish good habit, then you can reach flow. So, we just, repetition leading to habit. Another, Aristotle has a quote, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit." So we kind of combine those two ideas of repetition, creating good habit.
I love it. So talk us through your website. How does it work? How does one access these amazing coaching information, and, how do you sign up and all that?
Yeah. So right now we kind of have 4 areas. One is a direct to consumer. So that's a subscription base. We're starting out at, we're still kind of in beta mode, but $100 a year gets you access to all the videos. We also have a B2B side, which is, selling through clubs and organizations, which is more like group team pricing. And then we have a philanthropic side, so where we give subscriptions to kind of underserved, underprivileged areas. And then the fourth is working with schools. So we're really trying to, get the fundamentals down at the high school level with high school teams. So any one of those 4 ways, depending on, if you're looking to get it yourself or if you're part of an organization where you're looking for maybe, team pricing or group pricing.
And so when somebody signs up for Rhabit or at Rhabit.com, you said they have access to all the videos. Can you watch the videos as many times as you want? Is there a limit to the number of views? How does that work?
Yeah. So right now, you can watch the videos as many times as you'd like. You have access to the entire site. We're continuing to kind of test and better understand the marketplace and, creating panelists and, different series of videos and kind of directing people in more of a, hand-holding pathway relative to their, to their age or their ability. But yeah, we're continuing to kind of build that side of it.
Is there a search feature? So let's say, for example, this morning I had a lesson. My coach just changed my grip for my volleys and I'm going nuts. And so I had a whole lesson on that this morning. So if I wanted to get more instruction around that, would there be a way to just search for something on that, or how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we have everything organized kind of on the left-hand side by topic. So topic could be forehand, backhand, serve, volley, overhead, service, return. And then all of those are organized into subtopics, and all of those are chronological in order. So it kind of takes you through, beginner to advanced mode. At the bottom, you can also click if you're a beginner, intermediate, advanced, and obviously it'll query just what you're looking to, the way you filtered the search. So you can search by topic, subtopic. You can also take a look at all the coaches on there, and you can really go to the coach's profile page and see all the videos that we filmed of them. So you can search by coach as well. So those are kind of the 2 main areas. Either by topic or by coach, with a filter of in level as well.
Got it. And is everything technical based? So, for example, everything has to do with strokes, or are there also instructional videos on footwork or off-court fitness, mental toughness, those types of things?
Yeah, we'd really tried to take this and get perspective from all different areas. So we have some physio, nutrition, advice, special interest, tactics, formations, drills, technique. So really coming at it from all different areas, and that's offered, like you said earlier, we have a lot of ATP, WTA current tour players, former ones, Olympians, Grand Slam winners, but we also have some of the top, challenger players, or some of the top college players that were maybe say top 5 in the country. Because, as a student is going through their journey, they're going to relate to different people at different levels at different times. So we thought that it was positive to kind of embody the whole picture, as opposed to, you don't go from junior tennis to pro. There's a chronological order.
Right. Right. Not everybody gets that, but I'm glad to know you do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Through trial and error, Lisa.
Yeah. So I'm curious, because there's so much information available on the internet now. I mean, between YouTube and just even, going on Instagram now, there's so many videos. Why would somebody choose to pay for Rhabit.com as opposed to just searching the internet for this information?
Yeah. One is just the people that we have on the site, we have 90 plus and that's growing, are really people that are not doing videos on YouTube. They're people that are very qualified, that are really teachers or players. And so I think it's really the level of technique, of coaching that we're offering is vetted. We're doing a layer of vetting. There's some good stuff on YouTube, but there's also a lot of stuff that's maybe not so good. And there's a place for both, but we just think with the price point that we're offering this at, it's kind of a no-brainer. And a lot of the coaches that we filmed, they have private lessons that could be upwards of $150, $200 an hour. Mm-hmm. And here we're offering the whole gamut for $100 for the year. So we're really trying to make it accessible with price points. But obviously there was an expense to go out and shoot everything in 4K and do the editing and traveling. So we do have to make sure it's sustainable as well. But it's a very high quality product, both in who we've decided to film, the level of validation that we have, and just the way that we've produced it with kind of 4K high quality videos. So we feel that really separates us.
Got it. And I'm curious, how did you decide what type of lesson each coach would offer?
So that's a great question. We had a lot of fun with this. Our best film sessions were ones that were a little, we discussed some material ahead of time, but a lot of it was just get out there and make it very conversational. And that's kind of where, us doing the editing and piecing it together, like that's where a lot of the work comes in. But we felt that it was a lot more authentic, organic. So we really just had, if you were out at one of our film sessions, it was just a conversation. And then we pieced together the parts, having the tennis know-how, and keep all the good information in there. And it was really, here are a couple ideas, but what do you feel you teach best? What excites you? What are you all about in tennis? What do you want the world to know about you? So it was really, I think the coaches had a good time of just being able to share with the world what they were all about, what they were most excited and comfortable to talk about. And obviously, when you give people that opportunity and option, they're going to go with things that they're naturally the best at teaching or know the best.
Right. So, just between you, me, and our listening audience, what were some of your favorite sessions to record?
Wow, everyone was so unique. Some of them it was. I remember when we went out and filmed Greg Patton, who's unbelievable coach. I think just retired. He did just retire recently. Boise State.
My son played for Greg. Yeah,
he did. Right.
Yeah.
And Greg is, as you know, one of the winningest coaches in college history, and just a dynamic speaker. Just an amazing person in the game of tennis. I wish there were many more Gregs. And we just kind of getting there, we had to go through a mountain pass. There was snowy, so we had to put chains on the tire and the trailer. We got a flat tire, and just finally when we got there, I remembered we were just, we were tired. It had been a long journey, and just sitting back and listening to Greg, it was just so motivational and authentic, and that really stands out. And there were so many like that. I remember Tim Smichek was one of our early guys who was competing on the tour. And he was great. Dennis Kula and Billy Martin at UCLA, just very dynamic individual who's been around a lot. So we've had Debbie Graham Shaffer out in California, who was all everything at Stanford and won a couple national titles. And she's just an amazing person. And we had so much fun with her. And I remember her dog barking, so we had to do some retakes. But just really Elliot Telcher, who did some work with Sampras, and then Taylor Dent, unbelievable on the serve. So all of them were so unique in their own way. It's hard to say just one, but it's really refreshing when you watch the videos and kind of see what you understand why these people are so respected in the tennis industry. Sure.
Were there any that were just disasters that you're like, there's just nothing I can use here?
There were a couple that we, because we do a little bit of testing before we post it, and so there were for everything that we shot, I'd say we throw away half of it. Mm-hmm. And that's not just whether it's good or the film didn't come out. It could be a combination of many things, but yeah, there were definitely a few that didn't make the cut, and we obviously thanked them for their time, and they understood. And most of the time, the ones that we cut, they went in knowing, hey, look, I'm maybe not the best on camera. I know this information, so maybe we can cut this a different way.
Got it. So as we kind of wind down here, what are the takeaway messages you want the Parenting Aces audience to leave with?
I just think as a parent, I think it's great to be in the know with tennis, but also know that it's kind of the coach's job to it's the parent's job to be more of a manager, the coach's job to do more of the coaching. And I think that's why I think Rhabit's just a really great platform in that parents can watch it so that they know a little bit of what's going on behind the scenes, but also for students really becoming a student of the game, that's how you get to the top. And I would just say in anything, in life, in career, in industry, you have to become a student of the game. You have to do your due diligence and look at a lot of different perspectives before you make a decision. And that's really life. Nothing is spoon-fed. And that's really what we're trying to do on the platform, is get you all this perspective that you can trust. And then whether it be with your coach or your parents, you can kind of work it down and say, hey, I really like this piece and I'm going to add this to my volley, and just knowing what's out there. Otherwise, it just becomes, you just don't get that worldly perspective.
Mm-hmm. And I'm curious, for you and your brothers, is this your career right now, or is this something you're doing to supplement something else?
So good question. It's tough to say. I mean, we'll kind of see how it goes. With the price point that we have things at, we're not necessarily trying to make this our career. It's a little bit of a passion project. We have a strong desire for students, kids around the world, to have the right information to really reach their goals. Because we were so lucky in the game of tennis, like I mentioned. A lot of it is giving back. But yeah, my brothers are, working right now, and they have their careers, and I work on some things as well. But yeah, we continue to push this forward, and we're getting a lot of help from different areas, and it's been cool that just the camaraderie and people really buying into continuing to make this great.
I love it. I mean, I know passion projects very well. Parenting
Yeah.
Aces is definitely a passion project. So I get it. And I love hearing about young players giving back to the game like you guys are doing. I think this is what helps our game grow and thrive. And that's why if my audience is wondering, like, why do I keep having all these young guys on the show talking about these projects that they're working on? It's because I think it's really important for people to understand that when you get involved in tennis as a young child and you get the bug, and whether you play in high school, whether you play in college, whether you play on the tour is really irrelevant if you've got the passion for the sport. And what happens after that is so amazing. I mean, these communities that form, and companies that are born, and relationships that are made are just incredible. And to see three brothers working together to give back to the sport, to me, is just, it's fantastic. I just love it.
Well, you're right there as well, Lisa, and nobody's done a better job. And we've been going strong for 3 years now. It obviously took a couple of years to build and get all the content, but you've been going strong for even longer. So thank you for what you're doing. And look, we all love the game of tennis, and I think it's in good hands if we keep putting out, if we keep spreading the word.
Absolutely. All right. So tell our listeners how to get a hold of you guys. How did they find your site? How did they sign up?
Absolutely. So very easy, Rhabit.com. There's sort of free trial. You can jump on there. If you want to send an email to me direct, Jeff, Jeff.Dawson, Dawson, at Rhabit.com. That's Rhabit.com. We didn't even talk about, we have the ability to do like a one-on-one live virtual connection. That's a different part of the site. That's cool, but we're continuing to build that out as well.
Oh, I didn't even know about that part. So talk about that a second.
We've kind of got that under wraps, but that's the second part of the site of where we've got all this previously recorded, on-demand videos, and that's kind of the macro. But then being able to connect live with either your coach or through a webinar with one of the coaches on our site is another thing of where you can share. You can save and upload film of you playing, and then you and the coach can view it simultaneous on both ends. So I could be sitting here in Chicago, and Lisa, you could be in Atlanta, and we could be talking live face to face and both looking at the same video of you playing a doubles match and owning it, and we could be reviewing your match. So that's kind of the second part of the site that we're continuing to build out and add to.
Oh, I love that. Is that included when someone signs up for the site, or is that an extra service? How does that work?
Well, we're still working through it. I mean, with a lot of times with the local coach, with one's local coach, it just really depends on what they work out. It is a la carte, but that price point is set by the coach that's doing the webinar or that's doing the one-on-one. So that's really where you're able to kind of analyze your unique game and everything that you've learned through the videos.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, I want to just let my listeners know all of the information, the links and the email and all of that will be in the show notes. So make sure you check those out. And if you have questions or just want to play around on the site and see what it's all about, be sure to go to Rhabit.com and do that. And then you can email Jeff if you need a little help with getting signed up or figuring out which options are the right ones for your family. But Jeff, I want to thank you so much for sharing Rhabit with us and sharing your tennis story with the Parenting Aces audience. It's always fun to hear somebody's journey and where they started and where they are now. So I really appreciate you taking the time.
Well, thank you, Lisa, and thanks so much for the opportunity. And I guess I'll close by, I'm not sure if you saw an article that came out in the New York Times. I think it was the New York Times about they did this giant study on tennis players, and average lifespan is 10 years longer for those that play tennis. It was a big article. So if that's not motivation,
it's been making its way around the internet. I've seen it a bunch of times. It's a good one.
Yeah. It's a good one. So, yeah, no, thanks for what you're doing, and thank you for having us on Parenting Aces.
Thank you. And to my listeners, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on Parenting Aces. I'm Lisa Stone, and you've been listening to the Parenting Aces podcast, for tennis parents, by a tennis parent. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to us and write a review on iTunes. For more information on navigating the junior and college tennis journey, please visit us online at parentingaces.com. Thanks for tuning in and sharing us with your tennis community.